I feel like it's grief that ends up happening when
Mm.
you expect somebody to make you happy and then they don't. I mean, I feel like you experience a type of grief, like you're not getting what you need, and then you end up mourning the expectations you had.
Mm.
And that's really what I try to focus on too. Standards over expectations. These are the things that I'm going to accept, not expect,
Mm.
partner, because expectations, nobody will always be able to live up to your expectations.
Started. What's up, Mama?
Hi, Howard.
Can you hear me good?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. I'm so glad that we got you on Bliss Talk, man. I don't think that we've ever sat down and had a real heart-to-heart conversation. So this is going to be really dope, really cool. On Bliss Talk, I love picking people's brains, building, inspiring, collaborating, and sharing keys. And I'm going to ask you 5 questions tonight. Are you ready?
I am.
Yes. So you're a history teller, public historian, writer, and you also are the founder of the Invisible Museum, which I think is such a dope idea. I love that. And I love that it's a website. It's not a brick and mortar, but it's a website where you can post things on there for people to go check out and look at. Is there a bigger picture for maybe having a brick and mortar, or are we just keeping it on the website?
I think I wanted to stay exclusively online. That's my big vision. I just really am focused on accessibility. And I think that brick and mortars are great spaces, but in this technological era, having a website where people can go on and view digital exhibitions anywhere, I think is really good for accessibility. Also, people who are differently abled, who may not be able to traverse the spaces of brick and mortar museums, can still be able to get that education. And I think that having it online is a good way to keep it free. That is my goal. I want it to be 100% accessible. My future vision is to be able to have a database of scholarly journals and articles, to be able to connect with other museums that would be allow some of their digital works to be through the Invisible, as well as a donation, so that people really are able to have accessibility, because there is a lot of pay barriers that exist for scholarly works that Black people have written. We are historians. We have done the research. We have a lot of stories. We have the credible sources. We have all the things that our counterparts in history have. It's just that pay structure that is a barrier from the rest of our community being able to get access to it.
Say that. Everything you just said was so facts. I love that you are putting in the way where you're wanting it to be accessible. And that was the first thing that I saw when I went to go visit your page. I was like, this is so cool. It's right here. And then the name of it, the Invisible Museum, it goes perfectly together. So with that being said, is it a nonprofit organization that you have, or are you going to try to get sponsors involved with it?
It is a nonprofit. I'm working on getting my 501c3, so it can be tax deductible fully. But it is a complete nonprofit. This is just something that I do because it's my passion. I try to spend as much time on it as I can in my free time and try to focus on it. But it's nothing that I plan to make a profit off of.
Right. I love it. I absolutely love that. One of the first things I wanted to talk to you about was our history. You are a history teller, and I don't have many friends that were excellent in social studies. And so I was like, this is a great opportunity to pick your brain. What are some things that you think that need to be brought to the surface or little known in our community about our history?
I guess everything that's happening now, I would say that I think something that we all need to focus on is maybe just doing some self-education and figuring out who our hometown heroes are, because those are the people that I think that we need to bring to the forefront, and also identifying those people now, because we make history every day. So that's something that I push as a historian. I love reading facts about the past, because that definitely sets our foundation. But I always urge people to start preserving now, start connecting with the people who are making history now, record their memories, record their, voices, document what they're doing, because that, I believe, is kind of what has hindered the Black community in the past. We didn't create our own stories. We did create our own stories, and they got taken away from us. So I think what we have to do now, with the power that we have, is to make sure that we document our stories. It's great to have Facebook memories and things like that, but I think we need to make sure we get stuff put in books. We need to keep diaries. We need to pass those down through our families. So later on, when historians look back, they have these Black voices written by Black people to be able to present, instead of people trying to tell our history for us. And I think that is what has slowed us down so much in the past. We have to go back so far to figure out what our history was, because they erased, and we have to try to remember the oral story. So I really urge young people today, and people of age, keep your own diaries. Keep them in a safe place wherever you keep your tax documents or things. Keep your diary in that space too, because your history is very important. There are millions of white women and how their lives were, and I've read them. Historians use them to figure out what life was like back during slavery times.
Right.
We need stories of right now too, so we don't have people saying, well, this is what Black people thought, or we think, we need to be telling our own stories. Absolutely. So that's kind of what I want to push everybody to do. Write it down. Keep your own records, so historians don't, have to guess.
I absolutely agree with that. And it connects with, I spoke with Tyrissa, and we were talking about how we are now the adults. It's now our world to make the rules, and create change, you know what I mean, for our generation. And so that definitely correlates with that. Right now, I'm working on a piece. I'm working on a book where I'm recalling stuff from the past. And that's really difficult to do. I didn't realize it was going to be really difficult to do. I was actually on the phone with my best friend, and I was like reading it a little bit to her, and she was like, is that how it happened? I was like, I think it is. So you bring up such a great point with doing the journal entry and record keeping, because it's up to us to paint the narrative that we want, or somebody else is going to paint for us. Does that make sense?
Yes. That's the thing that I'm pushing right now. And that would be the thing that I would say about history and history telling is have your own story. Don't let, us historians come back years later, 100 years later, and then try to figure out what you were really thinking.
Right.
I think that's what slows progress down too. When the marginal people, their voices get out, and then you have the privileged people saying, well, we think this is what as people were trying to say. We should be saying it for ourselves. We should take that out of their hands and just give it to them in an open book. Here you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your earrings, by the way. Those are really cute. I love it. You're always beautiful. You're always like, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She's pretty and she's smart. Love it. So let's talk about love and happiness. This is something I rarely talk about on Bliss Talk, but do my research today, girl, like you is in love. Yes. Love and happiness. So my question for you is, what has this newfound relationship taught you about love? Is there any new epiphanies where you were just like, I thought this past thing was love, but now this is different. This feels different. Mm-hmm. So can you give me any epiphanies or examples that kind of shape where your evolution of how love is supposed to be?
With this new relationship, I realized how codependent I was, which is a toxic trait. It's a toxic trait to have. I realized how codependent I had become, how insecure I had become, and just being by myself and loving myself. And I think it's because I have known him since I was 12, that when we started dating, it was a security. You know, I mean, it was kind of like, okay, well, you've known me, you've seen the awkward, you know, you've seen puberty, Cortni, you've seen everything, you know, up together. So I think it allowed me to be able to relax those parts of myself a little bit that I felt were really tensed up, that for me felt like I had to hold on to my partners in the past, or feel like I had to act a certain way that really wasn't myself. So I think being in a relationship with him has definitely taught me how to be more interdependent, learning how to do things that are mutually beneficial, and not so much using the other person, you know, where it's one-sided, or using in a way that doesn't allow both of us to grow. So that's what I would say about being with him. I definitely have learned to not be codependent.
Right. Absolutely. You know, I was thinking, you know, doing self-reflection, and I realized that, like you said, being interdependent rather than dependent on somebody to make you happy. You got to be happy on your own. You know, you can't depend on that other person to give you happiness when they're looking for happiness too. You know, they want to be happy as well. And it takes balancing your energies, if that makes sense. Because if one person is pouring all this energy into a person, then they become drained, where you get the heartbreak. I'm trying to come up with the words, but I mean, it is what it is. When you're,
I think, you know,
what were you saying?
I feel like it's grief that ends up happening when you expect somebody to make you happy, and then they don't. I mean, I feel like you experience a type of grief, like you're not getting what you need, and then you end up mourning the expectations you had. You know, and that's really what I try to focus on too. Standards over expectations. These are the things that I'm going to accept, not expect. You know, partner, because expectations, nobody will always be able to live up to your expectations. So then you're going to end up with grief and heartbreak. Up with, well, why are you doing the things that I expected them, you know, to do? Because that's not how people. You know, that is not how people are up to be. You know, you can't have to live up to your expectations. People are. So that's why you set standards. So you have standards, like, before you even come into my life, these are the things that I need. So if you don't match it, then we can't connect on that level. You know, maybe there's someplace else you fit into my life. And that's something else I think I have really gotten in this relationship, checking my expectations at the door.
And then patience too, patience with other people's experiences, because you come into this union and it's been you guys in this bubble for however long, and then you get the extremities coming in from their past life before you, BC Cortni or BC Bliss, you know?
Yes, I mean,
those things start to surface, and it's really going to take patience in order to get over that bridge, get over that gap, you know, that I feel like that year mark is when it starts getting a little heavy. Like,
well, I agree. The hard days has long gone, you know. When the nitty gritty, you know, you get to the nitty gritty, you start seeing, you know, their trauma really develop. Really, you know, realize what habits they have.
Yeah. That's the trying period. Absolutely. And then you're trying to be their therapist, you're trying to be their psychiatrist, and you just realize you don't have the tools that you thought you would have. You weren't prepared for that, you know? And so I love how you said that it's an interdependentness and instead of dependent on that person. Love that. And I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. I love it. All right, so let's talk about your hair, Queen. I have always loved your hair, always, always, always. And I noticed you had a phase where you cut all of it off, and I was like, that was bold. I was like, that. But you look absolutely stunning, regardless. What was that moment for you? What was the
initially? Okay, now this is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to be completely transparent. When I was pregnant, I had bet my ex and my friend Debbie, the artist, that I would my hair and grow my hair back during my pregnancy. So that is why I initially shaved my head. And I really feel like it then morphed into because we broke up and I moved away from Greensboro all during that time when my hair was growing back. It was, I didn't know it at the time when I shaved my head, but I feel like that was a foreshadowing of letting go of everything that really had, I had been doing up to this point, because everything drastically changed for me. So it has been exactly 3 years since I have cut my hair. So that
exactly the same now.
I cut my hair, I had just been natural for 3 years. So it's been a really interesting experience. I liked being bald. Everybody, my mom freaked out. I love my hair too, but being bald I liked it.
Best friend, she cut all of her hair off too, and it works for her. I mean, she looks absolutely gorgeous as well. But she says that she gets a lot of people asking her, why did she cut it? That's the most annoying question ever. Heads up to people watching this right now. Do not ask why a woman does anything with her hair. It's her hair.
Yes.
Yes. You say it looks gorgeous and you keep it moving, honey. You keep it moving. It's so I did this for me. Why do you think you have a say-so as to what I do with my own hair? It's very you're having a beautiful day and then somebody asks you that question. It's so infuriating.
And I think a lot of times they're not even ready for what if you want to answer? What if it's a whole thing? What if I went through a whole journey deciding to cut my hair or to do something with my hair, and now you're trying to rush me through my story? Well, you have to be ready. You got to be ready.
Yeah. You're frozen up a little bit. You're good. Also, another question that I hate is, if your hair is so long, why do you wear weave? Don't ask me that question. Right.
I don't care because I want to wear it.
Right. I don't care. I mean, I find it's like an educational moment. Most people don't know when women, especially women of color, when we wear wigs or wear a weave, it's to protect our own hair. Our hair, it can get damaged for whatever reason. It could be the shampoos that we use, or it could be, sun hitting it, drying it out. Anything could happen. But if it's protected, braided up, then we're able to grow those long locks that we want. You know what I mean?
Well, it might be a growth journey. I might be trying to grow my hair. I might be trying to get my hair to that next level. I need to not touch it every day. I need to not have it out,
Right.
It grows better when it's braided up. I mean, that's a fact.
Right. I'm loving that we're having this PSA. So now everybody can know. These type of questions are off limits.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So we're moving on to our next topic of discussion in the Bliss Talk. Let's talk about slow progress is still progress. That was one of the memes that you posted. And I absolutely love that. That is my mindset 24/7. I'm talking about bricks. You start out with one brick and next thing you know, give it some time and you have a house. So I wanted to get your input and your take on that concept.
I've really been, since I moved back to Richmond, that's really kind of been my motto, because I think I was trying to keep up with everybody else around me, or trying to fit in too much and do what everybody else do, and I really wasn't focused on the things that I really wanted. And so I realized, like, to get to that, I need to go slow. I need to take my time. I don't have to, finish everything by next year. Life is long. I can take baby steps. Everything does not have to be giant leaps.
Mm-hmm.
You do need to take leaps of faith. But I think that it's also important to be gentle with yourself and recognize that slow progress. You're still moving forward. You don't have to, you don't have to make a complete turnaround in a day.
Yeah.
Slow progress is very long lasting.
Yes.
Because you're not rushing into it. You're building it up. You're building up momentum. And when you look back, you see how far you come. I mean, I also think of it as like being a long distance runner. That's a sprint. You're not sprinting. It's not a 100-meter dash. We're gonna take our time. Or a cross country runner. There are obstacles. We got to be careful. You don't need to trip up on every twig because you're trying to run and get there tomorrow.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's actually going to slow you down. It might have losses that you didn't need to take. You're going to take L's that may have never presented themselves if you took your time a little bit. So I think that's been important for me because, like, in my childhood, I've been very, like, go, go, go. I need to get this done like this. I move very quickly. And because I procrastinate, I also have to move very quickly. So I'm trying to get out of that mindset that if you plan, you can take your time, have small goals up to the long-term goal. You don't have to just start from point A and jump all the way to point Z. There are letters in between. You can take some.
Absolutely love that. Yes. Thank you for saying that, sister, because I like to celebrate my baby steps too. Mm-hmm. I don't just celebrate that huge, that huge goal or accomplishment or milestone. I like to really celebrate the baby steps because it meant that I took the initiative to take that small step. For example, I'm working on my book now. The little 5 minutes, or maybe sometimes it's only like 3 minutes I have before I have to hit this button. I'm writing a couple sentences in there, and that's a baby step. Sooner or later, it's going to be a full-size book.
Exactly. Exactly.
So celebrate those baby steps, because when you celebrate those baby steps, I said this in Bliss Talk where I did it by myself because my guest didn't show up. So I did a whole Bliss Talk by my daggone self. Trying to stay consistent. But at the end of the Bliss Talk, it was like I said, when you are in a state of gratitude, you are allowing yourself to appreciate your current frequency, and then also opening yourself up for the next frequency. And I was like, I just said it, but it was a bar. I was like, that's so true.
Something was manifesting through you,
Yes.
That's what happens. Those types of mindsets, you're able to, I think it brings clarity as well. Moving a little slower, you can have more clarity,
Absolutely. I love that. Slow progress is still progress.
Y'all don't forget that.
Don't forget it.
You don't got to keep up with the Joneses. You can get a degree anytime. You can start a business anytime. It's not, there's no expiration date on success. So,
absolutely correct. All right, let's talk about your stage and evolution right now. I have seen you, the first time we met was at Thinking Out Loud, probably like 5 years ago when I first started Thinking Out Loud. And I have seen you evolve, just grow and evolve. How do you feel, where do you feel like you are at in your evolution right now?
Wow, I still feel like I don't know anything. I mean, just to be honest, I feel like I've learned some things, but I still, like, in the evolution of myself and, like, really figuring out who Cortni is, I have no idea. I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying learning something new about myself every day. I'm enjoying unlearning things, toxic things I have dealt with, or have, incorporated into myself every day. So I still really feel very much my evolution like a child. I'm still trying to test the waters and really figure out where my boundaries are, because I think I still struggle with that. Saying no and like being okay to say no and not get successful in my life. Because I think I'm good at saying no, like to my friends and to my family, but I need to be able to say no to my boss or to certain opportunities that I know that I can't take on right now. So that's kind of, I feel like, in my evolution, just trying to still understand me. So I feel like there are millions of things I need to learn about myself, and I maybe have only learned 1,000. So I feel like it's still a long way to go. But I'm very excited. I love the journey. I love learning new things about myself, and just understand Cortni. Like, connected to the.
I think that your awareness of that you still have a lot to learn says a lot about your evolution too. Because if you think about it, when we were younger, I don't know about you, I'm not going to project this, but I know with me, I didn't have a concept of boundaries. I didn't even know that was a concept. And so I also didn't have a concept of time management when I was younger either. And so it's like, I know these concepts now, and I'm practicing these concepts, which I didn't do before. So that's how you know that you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When you're starting to practice new concepts that you weren't aware or wasn't brought to the surface in your life, in your past life. So that's dope. We evolving.
I was when I was younger too. I had no boundaries, and that definitely set me back years trying to put up boundaries, honor myself, and respect myself in that way.
Absolutely, yes. The last thing, we're going to close this thing out with some keys and concepts that you want to share with people today. Some keys and concepts if people would like to walk in your shoes someday.
Oh, wow. Okay. Going back to what we talked about, that no, and people say all the time, but no is a sentence. That your trauma can be a testimony. You do not have to hide behind pain or hurt or shame. You can tell your story even just for yourself because it is freeing. I would say that life goes on even when you don't want it to. That grief is necessary, whether that's losing a dream, losing somebody that you love, losing anything. Grief is necessary for growth, and that grief never goes away. It is something that you have to incorporate into your life. It is not something that you need to be cured of, that your grief is valid, that you can grieve how you need to grieve. Don't ever let anybody try to diminish the ways that you express your grief. And that's just what I would say. It's definitely on. I think that a lot of times people expect for things, and grief is something that will always be. It's
Absolutely.
Not you get over. It's something you incorporate, that you manage in your life. It's not something that you finish your book and you put it down like, oh, I got over that moment of grief in my life. No, it comes back in waves. And so you gotta learn how to surf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cortni, this has been a really dope conversation. Anytime that I can learn something or incorporate a new concept and speaking with someone, that's how I know I had a good Bliss talk.
This was great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. No, thank you. And if you guys would like to follow the conversation, if you just got here late, this will be up on my IGTV right after I get off of this call. You can follow me at cbliss_pics on Instagram. Visit my website, www.blisstalkshowlife, where you'll see some other amazing, inspiring conversations that I have with the community with our community leaders, because you guys have a platform. I like to bring people on here for a purpose. It's because you guys have a platform, you have following, you've been on this journey. I think that we all could learn from you, you know. Before we go tonight, if anybody has a question they would like to ask me or Cortni, please type it in there. And while you guys are typing, Cortni, please let us know where we can support you.
You can support me at the Invisible Museum. You can type that in Instagram or Facebook, the Invisible Museum. I will pop up. My icon, my logo is a small little museum with the world, with the globe in the center, with Africa faced to the front. I have a website, invisible-museum.org. You can check that out. Right now, I am working on doing preservation work for the current Black Lives Matter program across the world and the fallout. So if you have anything, you see anything, you have photos of posters of yourself supporting, of comments or memories that you want preserved, please go to my website, and it has directions there on how you can get that to me so that I can preserve it. And I hope to do an exhibition on that sometime later this year.
Yes. And I'm going to share your website in my story tonight as well. So are you looking for, because, you know, us growing up in this community, especially artists, we have a lot of memories from throwback performances, people coming out and things of that nature, which I think is a part of history. You know, the community, the artist community here, they're legendary. So would you like those photos as well?
Yes, all of it. I just want to be able, I'm really focused on preservation work this year, just trying to preserve before I put more exhibitions, because I want to be able to have those collections in the database.
Awesome. Well, I don't see any questions, so I think that's a wrap. Like I said, go ahead and subscribe to the Bliss Talk channel too, as well, because your episode will be posted on there as well. Thank you so much, Queen.
Thank you.
Salute you,
guys,
with your beautiful self.
Love your hair color.
Thank you. Bye.